Attitudes of a person who only uses you and doesn't care about you. Denzel Washington Motivation. Stoicism. Have you ever felt like you're just a convenience to someone, a stepping stone in their path to success? It's a harsh reality, isn't it? In a world where appearances can be deceiving, there are people who seem to care. But in truth, they only see you as a tool to advance their own agenda. Fake friendships and manipulative relationships are hard to spot because we often want to believe in the best of others. But hidden beneath their kind gestures and sweet words are subtle signs, clues that they don't value you as a person, only what you can do for them. It's time to recognize these users in your life. The key to thriving in today's fast-paced world is simple. Surround yourself with those who inspire you, who push you to become the best version of yourself. But identifying those who only pretend to care, those who drain your energy for their own benefit, requires sharp awareness and sometimes tough lessons. In this video, we'll uncover the subtle attitudes and behaviors of people who don't truly care about you, but instead use you for their own gain. We'll break down how to spot these warning signs so you can protect your peace, your energy, and your purpose. So stay tuned, because today, we'll dive deep into the attitudes of those who exploit relationships for their personal advantage. Recognizing these signs is the first step in surrounding yourself with authentic, supportive connections that align with your growth and well-being. Number 1. Failure to fulfill promises. In a world full of empty promises and fleeting connections, how can we truly know who stands beside us for the right reasons? Many people enter our lives with grand gestures, words that sparkle with commitment, and promises that feel real. Yet how often do these promises vanish, leaving us questioning the intentions behind them? Now we'll uncover the subtle, powerful signs of those who are all talk, but never walk the path of genuine support. When someone repeatedly fails to fulfill their promises, it reveals a deeper truth about their character. Words are easy to speak, but true intentions show in actions. The kind of people who promise you support, loyalty, or commitment, only to disappear when you need them most, are those who see relationships as a transaction, a means to get what they want, without investing anything real in return. It's like Seneca said, "A gift consists not in what is done or given, but in the intention of the giver." When people make promises with no intention of keeping them, their words become a performance, crafted to win your trust momentarily, but lacking any real foundation. This empty exchange leaves you feeling used, disillusioned, and wondering if the connection was ever real. In modern life, it's easy to find people who use promises to gain your loyalty, support, or resources, treating these words as a tool to access what you can offer them. This behavior can feel subtle at first, even camouflaged by charm or flattery, and it may take time to see it clearly. But failure to follow through, especially over time, reveals an unmistakable pattern. Like Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." People who lack integrity may constantly say they'll show up, but leave you stranded, disappearing just when their presence would mean the most. Such individuals are more focused on extracting value than on building a meaningful relationship. Their intentions aren't rooted in kindness or respect, but in personal gain. For men navigating their personal and professional lives, recognizing these patterns is essential. In a society that often values speed and convenience over depth and loyalty, it's easy to be misled by people who use eloquent words to cover up shallow intentions. They may talk about the future, about dreams they wish to build with you, yet their actions remain sporadic and self-serving. You find yourself waiting, only to see the promises crumble as soon as they're made. Epictetus once said, "Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it." Those who only talk without action show that they lack the values they profess. If someone's promises remain just words, you must ask yourself if they truly belong in your life. In these situations, it's crucial to build resilience and keep clear boundaries. Look for signs of reciprocity, genuine care, and respect in actions, not words. A reliable person invests time, energy, and effort into the promises they make. They don't leave you questioning their sincerity. This type of integrity is not just a reflection of character, but a sign of a person who values you as an equal, rather than as a means to an end. In contrast, those who fail to fulfill promises often see relationships as tools. They are like clouds without rain, raising hopes but failing to deliver anything substantial. Such relationships leave a void, gradually draining your energy and eroding your trust. So, how do you protect yourself? Take heed of people's actions over time, for consistency reveals true intention. Don't let empty promises sway your trust. Protect your well-being by setting boundaries, holding people accountable, and valuing those who show you respect and loyalty in their deeds, not just their words. As the saying goes, actions speak louder than words. Surround yourself with people who bring light into your life through genuine support, shared values, and mutual respect. Number 2. Diminishing or disdainful comments. When someone consistently makes diminishing or disdainful comments toward you, it's not just joking or teasing. This is a calculated move to chip away at your confidence and self-worth, often masked as humor or harmless banter. Have you ever had someone downplay your achievements, make snide remarks about your goals, or subtly question your abilities? These are small yet powerful cuts that add up over time, leaving you second-guessing yourself, doubting your strengths, and ultimately diminishing your potential. This behavior is a classic move of people who use others. By making you feel smaller, they keep themselves in control, ensuring that you feel less confident, less capable, and more reliant on their approval. Think about it. Why would anyone feel the need to constantly bring you down? Often it stems from their own insecurities. In modern workplaces, relationships, and friendships, you might notice people who can't handle seeing others succeed because it makes them feel threatened. Instead of celebrating your wins, they belittle them, perhaps by saying, "Well, it's not that big of a deal," or "anyone could have done that." In doing so, they manage to keep you in a box, in a place where your confidence is stunted and you're not able to outshine them. They try to keep you from recognizing your worth because, as long as you're uncertain and self-doubting, they feel safe and in control. Seneca wisely said, "As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters." If you let these kinds of people control your self-view, your life's story can feel smaller, duller, and less impactful than it truly could be. Let me share a story to bring this to life. A friend of mine once worked tirelessly for months to launch a business project she'd been dreaming about. She poured her heart, energy, and long nights into making it happen. When she finally succeeded, most of her friends celebrated with her, but one person, someone she thought was close, dismissed it by saying, "Let's see how long it lasts." This comment wasn't just a downer. It was meant to plant seeds of doubt in her mind. For weeks, those words echoed in her thoughts, making her question her hard work and success. It was only later that she realized this friend had never supported her from the beginning and seemed more invested in keeping her insecure than seeing her flourish. Have you ever been in a similar situation? Diminishing comments like these aren't always obvious. They creep in subtly and grow over time, which is why it's so important to recognize them early. Ask yourself, do the people around you genuinely support your growth, or do they treat your wins as threats, quickly brushing them aside or reducing them to something insignificant? If their words repeatedly make you feel less than, they likely have their own reasons for keeping you down, and it's not for your benefit. As you start to recognize these patterns, it becomes essential to set boundaries and protect your mental space from such toxic dynamics. Here's the lesson. Real friends, partners, and allies will never make you feel like you need to shrink to make them feel secure. They will celebrate your victories as if they were their own, pushing you forward rather than pulling you back. Surround yourself with people who, instead of sowing seeds of doubt, help you realize your full potential. Marcus Aurelius once said, Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Apply this to your own life by embodying the qualities of someone who uplifts others and chooses relationships with people who do the same for you. By doing so, you're not only preserving your self-worth, but creating a life where genuine support and positivity foster growth, resilience, and success. Don't let anyone's small-mindedness shape your future. Remember, you deserve relationships that bring you up, not down. So, what kind of people will you let into your life from now on? Number 3. Unilateral benefit. When you find yourself in a relationship that feels one-sided, it's usually because the other person only sees the relationship as a means to their own ends, offering little in return for what you give. This is the essence of a unilateral benefit, where one person gains everything while the other is left drained, unappreciated, and often used. Have you ever noticed how, in some relationships, you're always the one who gives more, whether it's time, energy, money, or emotional support, while they seem to vanish when you're the one in need? The philosopher Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants," which applies here. True wealth in a relationship isn't measured by what you receive, but by a shared understanding of give and take, by mutual respect and consideration. But in a one-sided relationship, the other person lacks that consideration. They may take from you willingly, expecting you to always be there. Yet when it's their turn to give, their words fall flat, their promises go unkept, and they suddenly don't have the time or interest to reciprocate. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself going out of your way for someone, making their life easier, lifting their burdens and showing up when they need you, only to realize they never extend the same effort for you? This is not only frustrating but ultimately damaging to your self-worth. The imbalance begins to wear on you, eroding your energy, your sense of trust, and your belief that people should care about each other equally. But what's worse, people who operate with this mentality often don't see relationships as meaningful bonds, but rather as transactional arrangements. They keep a mental tally of what they need, rarely considering what they offer back. And that transactional mindset in a personal relationship can be incredibly toxic. Consider a story we all know. Maybe it's a friend who borrows money and promises to repay but never does, or a partner who leans on you emotionally but disappears when you're going through a hard time. Over time, these small instances of one-sidedness reveal a larger truth. The relationship lacks reciprocity, the essential quality that keeps both people engaged, appreciated, and secure. And when there's no balance, there's no genuine respect. Instead, they begin to see you as someone who exists to serve their needs, not as an equal partner or friend. Seneca once remarked, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future," and this can be applied to relationships too. In a healthy bond, both people are invested in each other's well-being, enjoying each other's presence without expecting undue benefits in return. In contrast, the person who always takes without giving creates an atmosphere of dependency and insecurity, as if your happiness is tied to how much they're willing to reciprocate. How can we guard ourselves against these kinds of relationships? The first step is to be aware of the patterns. If someone's presence is limited to times when they can gain something from you, and they're conspicuously absent during your moments of need, this is a warning sign. Ask yourself, am I valued for who I am, or just for what I provide? This simple question can reveal a lot about someone's true intentions. Marcus Aurelius advised, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts," and this rings especially true when assessing the quality of our relationships. By focusing on what we want from connections, authenticity, mutual respect, and balanced effort, we can better understand what makes a relationship meaningful. When you recognize a unilateral benefit, it's crucial to set boundaries, communicate your expectations, and protect your energy. True relationships don't leave you feeling empty. They enrich you, lifting you up, and bringing out the best in both people involved. So, what kind of relationships do you want to cultivate in your life, and who truly deserves a place in your inner circle? Number 4. Disregard for your needs or feelings. Have you ever felt invisible in a relationship where your needs and feelings are sidelined and dismissed? There's a particular kind of person who disregards what matters to you, focusing only on what they can gain. This behavior isn't just inconsiderate, it's a red flag of someone who uses others for personal benefit without any true regard for their well-being. Let's dive deeper into understanding this attitude, the subtle yet powerful ways it manifests, and what it means to prioritize yourself when others won't. When someone disregards your needs and feelings, they're sending a clear message. Their wants come first, and you're just a supporting role in their story. This type of person isn't concerned with whether you feel respected, heard, or valued. Instead, they see relationships as a convenience, something that should align with their desires without considering what you might need. Think about those moments when you've shared a concern, only to have it brushed off, or when you've needed support, and they were mysteriously absent. These are not accidents or lapses in empathy, but rather patterns that reveal how little they value your emotions. In the words of Epictetus, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." True connection means listening, caring, and valuing the other person's perspective. Yet people who disregard your needs fail this fundamental test of respect. In modern relationships, whether they're friendships, romantic partnerships, or work connections, this disregard can often be masked by politeness or even occasional displays of charm. The person might seem friendly or agreeable on the surface, yet when it comes to actions that show genuine care, they're consistently absent. For example, if you're going through a challenging time and share it with them, they might change the topic to something about themselves or minimize your experience. This isn't because they don't understand you're hurting. It's because they don't want to expend energy on anything that doesn't directly benefit them. Over time, this attitude leaves you feeling undervalued and questioning your own worth. As Marcus Aurelius wisely advised, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. It's crucial to surround yourself with people who nurture positive thoughts and make you feel valued, rather than those who disregard your feelings. Think of it this way. A healthy relationship is like a garden, needing consistent care and attention from both people. But in a connection where your needs are neglected, you're the only one watering the plants, while they sit back and take the shade of the blossoming garden. They enjoy the benefits of your energy, time, and commitment without giving anything back. This is not the kind of relationship that supports growth or mutual respect. If they continue to disregard your needs, it's a sign that they don't see you as an equal partner, but rather as someone whose feelings and boundaries can be overlooked. Seneca once wrote, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." True companions lift you, show empathy, and value you for who you are, rather than disregarding what matters to you. Ask yourself, how many times have you put someone's needs ahead of your own, only to find that when it's your turn for support, they're nowhere to be found? If you recognize this pattern in someone close to you, it may be time to reconsider how much energy you invest in that relationship. In life, we must sometimes make difficult choices to protect our own mental and emotional health. There's a world of difference between people who support us in our journey and those who only watch for what they can take. By recognizing when someone disregards your needs, you give yourself permission to seek relationships built on mutual respect and care. As you navigate these choices, remember this: your well-being deserves to be a priority, not an afterthought in someone else's agenda. So, take a moment to consider who in your life truly respects your needs and who only seems to care when it's convenient for them. Thank you for joining us in today's video. Before we continue, I want to take a moment to express my gratitude for having you as part of our community here on Stoic in Your Life. Your presence means a lot to us. Feel free to share your story or impressions in the comments. Your voice matters here. And if you're not sure what to say, just type, I am a newbie if you're new to our channel, or I am Stoic if you've been with us for a while. Every interaction is a reminder of why we do this, and your engagement keeps us inspired to bring you more valuable content. So let's continue this journey of growth and self-discovery together, shall we? Number 5. Emotional manipulation. Emotional manipulation is one of the most harmful tactics used by people who see others merely as tools to fulfill their own desires. It's a subtle yet powerful way to keep control, to have you questioning your own feelings and actions while they quietly pull the strings. Emotional manipulators don't come right out and tell you what they want. Instead, they create a whirlwind of mixed messages, guilt, and fear, so you end up doing what they want without realizing it was never about you in the first place. Have you ever had someone praise you, lift you up, only to turn around and subtly criticize you the moment you begin to feel secure? This cycle of building you up and tearing you down is intentional. It keeps you on edge, seeking their approval, wondering what you might have done wrong, and constantly trying to make things right. In the words of Seneca, "He who is brave is free." But an emotionally manipulative person thrives when you're the opposite, doubtful, insecure, and emotionally dependent on their validation. In modern life, this can be seen in relationships where one person uses guilt or shame to maintain control. Perhaps it's a friend who constantly reminds you of a favor they did for you, making you feel indebted even when it's long past, or a partner who alternates between warmth and coldness, making you feel like it's always your fault. This behavior keeps you emotionally invested and makes you feel that you owe them your loyalty, no matter how drained or exhausted you feel. They may say things like, "After all I've done for you, this is how you repay me," or, "I guess I'm the only one who cares." These are not harmless comments. They're designed to stir up guilt, to keep you questioning whether you're doing enough, and to make you feel responsible for their emotions. Think about it. How many times have you been in a situation where someone's mood seemed to hinge on what you did or didn't do, as though their happiness or disappointment was somehow your responsibility? Over time, this emotional roller coaster takes a toll, leaving you feeling trapped in a game you never signed up for. It's easy to feel drained, to feel as though no matter what you do, it's never enough. And that's the goal of emotional manipulators, to keep you striving for their approval, their affection, and their validation, while you lose touch with your own needs and self-worth. Like Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you're constantly surrounded by manipulation, your thoughts, emotions, and even your sense of self become clouded by the toxic dynamics of that relationship. Let me share a story that might resonate with you. A man I know once had a close friend who seemed supportive and encouraging, but every time he succeeded, his friend would downplay his accomplishments, questioning his decisions and pointing out his flaws in subtle ways. "Are you sure that's a good idea?" "I'm just looking out for you," his friend would say, planting seeds of doubt. Soon he found himself second-guessing every move, wondering if he really was making the right choices. This manipulation wasn't obvious. It was gradual, wrapped in concern, disguised as care. But in reality, his friend was keeping him in a box, ensuring that he would always feel dependent, that he would always need approval before making any bold move. The lesson here is clear. Don't let anyone make you doubt your worth through emotional games. Genuine relationships are built on mutual respect, support, and trust, not on a foundation of control and guilt. Ask yourself, am I feeling encouraged or manipulated? Do I feel uplifted, or am I constantly walking on eggshells? Recognizing manipulation is the first step to breaking free. As you reflect on your relationships, remember Epictetus's wisdom. No man is free who is not master of himself. Take control by setting boundaries and surrounding yourself with people who value your independence and respect your individuality. Emotional manipulation thrives in the shadows, so by shining a light on it, you regain the freedom to live your life authentically, grounded in your own worth and free from the hidden strings of manipulation. Prioritize those who lift you up without expecting anything in return, who respect you without trying to control you. So, are you ready to reclaim your peace and protect your emotional freedom? Number 6. Lack of genuine support. When someone in your life shows a lack of genuine support, it reveals their true intentions, often signaling that they see you more as a convenience than a companion. Genuine support isn't about merely saying good luck or giving an occasional pat on the back. It's about being there when it counts, offering help, encouragement, and a steady presence, even when times are tough. Have you ever noticed how some people are eager to share in your success, happy to celebrate the good times, yet when you're struggling or facing a challenge, they seem to vanish? This kind of selective support speaks volumes. True friends and allies don't disappear when things get complicated. They stand beside you, offering reassurance and reminding you of your worth. As Seneca once said, one of the most beautiful qualities of true friendship is to understand and to be understood. Yet, people who only provide shallow occasional encouragement miss the point of what real support looks like. They're simply not invested in your journey. In today's world, genuine support can be hard to come by. Many people may appear supportive on the surface, but they're often more concerned with how they can benefit from your achievements. They'll congratulate you when you're successful, but their interest is tied to what they can gain, not to helping you build a meaningful path forward. These individuals lack the empathy that true supporters have. They prioritize their own convenience, showing up only when it serves their interests. For instance, maybe you've noticed this in a friend who cheers you on when you're winning, but the moment you need help or are going through a hard time, they're nowhere to be found. Or perhaps a colleague is eager to share in the spotlight but leaves you behind to deal with the challenges alone. How often have you felt the sting of someone's absence when you needed them most? And how often have they left you wondering if they were ever truly in your corner? Think about it. Relationships are built on mutual effort. Just as you strive to support the people you care about, it's only fair to expect the same level of commitment and care in return. Marcus Aurelius once advised, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In other words, surround yourself with people who live by their values, who show up for you not just in word, but in action. If someone is repeatedly absent when you need them, or if their support feels empty or forced, it's time to ask yourself if they are a true friend or merely an acquaintance who enjoys the benefits of being near you without investing any real care. This isn't about expecting perfection. Everyone has their own challenges and limitations. But if someone continually chooses convenience over compassion, they may not be the ally you think they are. Now, here's a story that might resonate. A man worked tirelessly to launch his own business, pouring his heart into every detail. Initially, friends and family cheered him on, but as he began facing the inevitable struggles of any new venture, many of those supporters fell silent. Only a few true friends remained by his side, checking in, offering help, and listening to his worries without judgment. It was through that experience that he realized who genuinely cared for his success and well-being, and who was only around for the celebration. In reflecting on this, ask yourself, who are the people in your life who stick around even when the party's over? Who supports you not just for the highlights, but through the difficult, gritty moments that define real life? The philosopher Epictetus once said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." Surrounding yourself with genuine support means choosing relationships that add strength and encouragement, especially during life's most challenging chapters. A lack of genuine support from those around you is a clear signal to reassess who you allow in your life. Seek relationships where there's a mutual desire to lift each other up, where encouragement and care come naturally, not selectively. Ask yourself if the people you're counting on are also counting on you, if they're willing to be there not just for the rewards, but for the hard work and the setbacks too. Remember, you deserve relationships built on true support and mutual respect, connections that not only celebrate your triumphs, but stand steadfast in your trials. So, who in your life would stand beside you not just when it's easy but when things get difficult, And are you ready to prioritize the people who genuinely care for you? Number 7. Constant competition. When someone constantly tries to outshine you, it's not just frustrating, it's a sign of something much deeper. To continue, let's dive into the attitude of constant competition, understanding why some people behave this way, how it impacts your life, and what you can do to protect your sense of peace and confidence. Constant competition in relationships is exhausting, and more importantly, reveals the insecurities of those who feel the need to prove themselves at every turn. This attitude isn't about healthy motivation or friendly rivalry. It's about needing to be better than you in every aspect. Think about those people in your life who always have to one-up you, who respond to your achievements not with support or congratulations but with their own tales of success. Instead of celebrating your accomplishments, they bring up their own, as if your success somehow threatens them. Marcus Aurelius wisely observed, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you're surrounded by constant competition, the joy of sharing your life's achievements can become tainted, colored with doubt and frustration, making it feel as though your value is constantly under scrutiny. This behavior from others might make you feel like you have to downplay your wins or avoid sharing your dreams altogether, all because you're trying to avoid yet another competitive showdown. In modern life, this attitude is more common than we'd like to admit. With social media highlighting everyone's successes, the need to outshine others has become a default mode for some. But when this happens in close relationships, it's a sign that the person sees you as a benchmark rather than a partner or friend. Picture this scenario. You share news about a promotion you've worked hard for, and instead of a simple, "Congratulations," they respond with, "Well, I achieved that level years ago." Or maybe you're excited about a new skill you've learned, and their response is to highlight how they've mastered something even more difficult. This isn't encouragement. It's a subtle way of making sure you know they're better than you. Constant competitors see others' success as a threat rather than as a moment to celebrate, leading them to focus on overshadowing rather than supporting. And in the end, this approach creates a relationship built on rivalry rather than mutual respect. Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." Those who constantly need to be ahead, to have the spotlight, or to win in every situation reveal their own lack of contentment. This need for superiority isn't a reflection of your achievements, but of their own insecurities. A person who is secure in their value and achievements doesn't feel the need to outdo those around them. Instead, they lift others, knowing that true success is found in shared growth and support. But a constant competitor sees life as a zero-sum game, where for them to win, you must lose. This isn't the foundation of a healthy relationship, and over time, it breeds resentment, as your accomplishments are continually met with indifference or overshadowed by their own stories. How do you handle this kind of relationship? The first step is to recognize that you're not responsible for managing someone else's insecurities. If someone feels threatened by your success, that's their battle to fight, not yours. Instead of downplaying your achievements to keep the peace, remember the words of Epictetus. Know, first, who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. Stand firm in your worth and refuse to let anyone make you feel small or unworthy. Constant competition drains your energy and clouds your mind with doubts. So, take a step back, establish boundaries, and decide whether this person's behavior is something you're willing to accept. If not, it may be time to reconsider the relationship and focus on building connections with people who celebrate, rather than compete with, you. Relationships should be about mutual growth and shared joy, not a relentless competition to see who comes out on top. Genuine friends and partners understand that your success does not diminish their own. Instead, they encourage and inspire, knowing that each person's journey is unique and valuable. So, ask yourself, are the people in your life building you up or constantly trying to bring you down? Seek out relationships that foster support, where accomplishments are celebrated together. Life is not a contest, and you deserve relationships that value connection over comparison. Number 8. Absence in critical moments. Have you ever noticed that some people are around only during the good times but disappear the moment you face challenges? This absence in critical moments reveals more about their true character than any words they could say. Let's explore why certain people can't be counted on when you need them most, and what this means for your well-being. Absence in critical moments is a powerful indicator of someone's genuine interest, or lack thereof, in your life. When someone consistently vanishes during your hardships but reappears when things improve, it's not just a coincidence. It's a reflection of their priorities and where you truly stand with them. Have you ever experienced a situation where you faced a major challenge, a health issue, financial trouble, or a personal loss, and someone you thought you could rely on simply wasn't there? They had excuses, sudden unavailability, or vague reassurances that didn't actually lead to any real support. Their absence speaks louder than any words could, showing that they're only interested in the benefits they get from you, not in being there when it requires effort, care, or empathy. This reminds me of the words of Epictetus. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. True wealth in relationships doesn't come from the superficial enjoyment of good times, but from having people who willingly stand beside you, regardless of what you're going through. In modern life, it's common to have many casual connections, but a real friend or partner is the one who supports you when things get tough. Picture a time when someone was truly there for you. Maybe they drove hours to be by your side or stayed up late to offer a listening ear during a difficult time. These gestures, however simple, hold immense value because they show genuine care. Now, contrast this with the people who claim to be friends, but always seem to disappear when the going gets rough. These individuals don't want to be part of the process. They're only interested in the final product and being part of your success without standing by you through the struggles that lead to it. This absence during critical moments reveals a transactional mentality, where their commitment is conditional, tied to their convenience rather than a heartfelt desire to support you. For instance, let's look at a common scenario. Think of a person who loves to be around when you're succeeding at work, enjoying financial success, or celebrating life's achievements. But the moment you face setbacks such as job loss, financial struggles, or a health issue, they're suddenly unavailable, full of excuses, or simply distant. This behavior highlights a lack of genuine investment in the relationship. They're there when they can bask in your happiness or benefit in some way, but are unwilling to invest in the less glamorous parts of life that require patience, empathy, and real support. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When surrounded by those who only stick around for the highs, your sense of trust and happiness takes a hit, making you doubt whether you can depend on anyone at all. So, what do you do when you recognize this pattern of absence in critical moments? First, acknowledge that you deserve better than conditional support. Recognizing who is genuinely there for you and who isn't can be difficult, especially if these are people you've invested time and emotions into. Ask yourself, am I only useful to them when things are easy? This question helps reveal the true nature of your connection. Genuine friends and partners see you as more than just someone to enjoy the good times with. They're willing to invest in your well-being and offer stability in your life. They value the relationship itself, not just the benefits they get from it. By understanding this, you're able to establish healthy boundaries, investing your energy into people who see and respect you beyond the surface level. Cultivate relationships that are rooted in loyalty and genuine care. Life is full of ups and downs, and the people worth keeping close are those who support you through all seasons, who don't disappear when things get hard, and who value you not as a convenience but as a true companion. Like Seneca said, associate with people who are likely to improve you. Look for connections that lift you up, not only in the good times but also when you're at your lowest. Ask yourself today, who in your life consistently shows up when you need them most, and who seems to only appear when there's something to gain? By investing in relationships that offer authentic support, you protect your peace, nurture your self-worth, and build a circle of people who genuinely care for you through every challenge life throws your way. Number 9. Lack of reciprocity. When someone shows a lack of reciprocity in a relationship, it's a clear signal of where their true priorities lie, and unfortunately, it's often not with you. A relationship lacking in reciprocity means you're the one constantly giving, your time, your energy, your understanding, while the other person rarely, if ever, gives anything back. This dynamic isn't about minor differences in contributions. It's a pattern where you continually invest, support, and show up, yet find yourself left empty-handed when it's your turn to lean on them. Think about this. Have you ever felt as though you're the one holding the relationship together? You're the one making the calls, organizing meetups, offering support through their challenges. But when you need someone to talk to, someone to rely on, they're nowhere to be found. The philosopher Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." In relationships, this translates to valuing the company of people who meet us halfway, who see relationships as partnerships, not one-sided arrangements. When you find yourself always giving without receiving, you're left feeling drained and unappreciated, as though your efforts don't truly matter. In today's fast-paced world, where convenience often takes precedence over commitment, it's easy for some people to view relationships as purely transactional. They stick around for what you can offer them, emotional support, social connections, maybe even financial help, but offer little to nothing in return. This lack of reciprocity can manifest subtly. They may respond to your texts but rarely initiate, or they accept your advice and help yet disappear when you need a hand. These are not accidents. They're indicators of a deeper mentality, one that views relationships as opportunities for personal gain, rather than meaningful mutual connections. Have you ever noticed how some people are only present when they need something? And when you reach out for support, their excuses are endless or they become conspicuously busy. Over time, this imbalance creates a pattern where you're left feeling undervalued, constantly wondering if the relationship would even exist without your ongoing effort. True reciprocity is the foundation of any healthy relationship. It doesn't mean each person gives exactly the same amount all the time. Life's ups and downs naturally create fluctuations. But in a relationship based on mutual respect, there is a balance where both individuals are equally invested in each other's well-being. As Seneca wisely observed, one of the most beautiful qualities of true friendship is to understand and to be understood. This understanding is the root of reciprocity. It's knowing that both people matter, that both sets of needs and feelings deserve attention. When someone truly values you, they don't just take from the relationship. They're eager to give back, to offer their support, their time and their presence, because they care about your happiness and growth as much as their own. So how do you navigate a relationship with someone who lacks reciprocity? The first step is to recognize the pattern and understand that you're not obligated to pour yourself out for someone who isn't willing to do the same for you. Ask yourself, is this relationship enriching my life, or am I the only one doing the work? Setting boundaries is crucial, as it protects you from giving more than you can afford emotionally. Instead of constantly overextending yourself, begin to give in proportion to what they're offering. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Surround yourself with people who live by similar principles, who believe that relationships are a two-way street. Don't settle for relationships where you feel taken for granted. Invest in those that value you as much as you value them. In the end, remember that true connections are those that leave you feeling supported and valued. So who in your life meets you halfway, and who expects you to carry the weight of the relationship alone? Seek out those who see relationships as partnerships, not as a platform for their own gain, and you'll find a sense of peace and fulfillment that's rooted in real, mutual support. Number 10. Gossip and breach of trust. Have you ever shared something personal, only to later find out it became the topic of gossip? When someone you trust turns your private words into public knowledge, it's more than just betrayal. It's a direct breach of trust that cuts deep. Let's now dive into why gossip and betrayal in relationships are red flags that you can't afford to ignore, and explore how recognizing these signs can protect your well-being and peace of mind. Gossip and breach of trust are signs of someone who doesn't value the sacredness of privacy in a relationship. When a person turns your personal struggles, triumphs, or vulnerabilities into casual conversation with others, they're revealing a lack of respect not only for you but for the relationship itself. True friendship or partnership is built on a foundation of trust, a mutual understanding that your words are safe and held with care. Yet, people who engage in gossip, especially when they share things you confided in them, are showing that they don't truly see you as an equal. Instead, they see the details of your life as currency, something they can trade to gain favor, attention, or status with others. Think about how this feels. Each time you share a piece of yourself, hoping for understanding, they take that piece and turn it into fuel for their own social gain. It's a stark reminder of the Stoic wisdom from Seneca. You should keep those things to yourself that you wouldn't want shared with the enemy. When you can't trust someone with your truths, it's not just disappointing, it's an indication that the relationship itself lacks integrity. In our modern world, where oversharing and gossip often seem normalized, this behavior might appear subtle at first. You may hear, "I'm just telling you because you're close," or, "Don't worry, this is just between us." But in reality, these are tactics used to justify the betrayal, to disguise it as harmless or even as a sign of closeness. People who habitually gossip about others' private matters aren't just risking your trust, they're displaying a lack of discipline and respect for boundaries. Have you ever thought about how this behavior impacts your own sense of security? Knowing that someone can turn around and reveal your personal struggles to others makes you feel on edge, anxious, and hesitant to be vulnerable in the future. Marcus Aurelius once advised, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This Stoic insight reminds us to avoid the temptation to betray trust ourselves and to steer clear of those who do. Consider a situation that's probably familiar to many. You confide in a friend about a difficult decision or a personal struggle, expecting them to listen and support you. A few days later, you hear your words repeated back to you, twisted and reshaped, from someone else entirely. The sting of betrayal is profound, because it's not just about the words shared. It's about the realization that your trust was placed in the wrong hands. Suddenly, every vulnerable moment you spent with this person feels tainted, making you question the authenticity of the relationship itself. And the sad truth is, people who gossip about others with you will likely do the same behind your back. They don't respect the boundary between public and private, using each detail you give them to weave stories that serve their own agenda. This habit erodes the foundation of trust, making you feel more like a tool for their entertainment than a valued companion. So, how do you protect yourself from people who gossip and break trust? The first step is to observe how they speak about others. If they're constantly sharing intimate details about someone else's life, it's a clear indicator that they won't respect your privacy either. It's wise to set boundaries and limit the personal information you share with them. Ask yourself, am I truly safe in this person's confidence? If the answer is no, consider taking a step back. Epictetus once said, "Know, first, who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." This is a call to prioritize self-respect, to align yourself with people who honor privacy and uphold trustworthiness as a core value. The lesson here is simple. Trust is the cornerstone of any meaningful relationship. Once it's broken, it's incredibly difficult to rebuild, if it can be rebuilt at all. Invest in relationships with those who protect your privacy, who listen with an understanding heart, and who see your confidence not as a social currency, but as a privilege. True friends and genuine partners don't need to elevate themselves by sharing your personal life. Instead, they stand by you, respecting the bond you've created. Number 11. Selective availability. Let's break down the signs of selective availability, why people act this way, and how recognizing it can help you build healthier, more reciprocal relationships. Selective availability is one of the clearest signs of a relationship that's skewed in favor of someone else's needs. These people are only around when there's something to gain, a social event to attend, or a benefit to be had. But when you reach out, they're often too busy, overwhelmed, or simply unavailable. At first, you might brush it off, thinking everyone has their own commitments and you tell yourself they'll be there next time. However, over time, this inconsistency becomes a pattern. You begin to notice that they appear just in time to share in your success or ask for a favor, but vanish when it's your turn to seek support. Epictetus once observed, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." In relationships, this wealth translates to having people who genuinely care for you, not because they need something, but because they value who you are. A truly supportive friend or partner doesn't treat availability as a convenience. They make it a priority, especially in times when you need them most. In our fast-paced, busy world, many people juggle demanding schedules, and it's normal to occasionally be unavailable. But selective availability goes deeper. It's a conscious or unconscious choice to only engage when it benefits them. Think about how it feels when you excitedly share good news, and they're there with praise and celebration, ready to share in the glow. But when life throws you a challenge, maybe you're dealing with a personal loss, facing work stress, or simply need a listening ear, suddenly, they have every excuse in the book. This pattern isn't about being busy. It's about prioritizing their own comfort and interests over the relationship. Seneca's words resonate here. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Real friends and partners don't use presence as a tool to gain favors or social points. Instead, they are there for the journey, not just the highlight reel. A friend of mine once learned this lesson the hard way. She had a close friend who was constantly in touch, texting, calling, and showing up for parties and celebrations. But when my friend went through a difficult breakup, this person seemed to vanish, too busy to respond to calls or even send a simple message of support. Yet, as soon as my friend had moved on and was back to her usual self, this friend was back, acting as if nothing had changed. It was a painful, but eye-opening moment for her. She realized that this person wasn't really invested in their friendship. They were just along for the good times, vanishing at the first sign of emotional work. How many of us have dealt with similar situations? Recognizing selective availability can save you from the constant cycle of feeling uplifted, only to be let down again, helping you to focus on relationships with genuine value. What can you do if you notice someone in your life is selectively available? Start by observing the pattern without making excuses for them. If they're never around when you need support, yet always there when they need something, it's a sign that the relationship is one-sided. Setting boundaries is essential. Limit how much of your energy you invest in people who only show up when it's easy for them. Surround yourself with people who care about your highs and your lows, who celebrate your achievements but also hold space for your struggles. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." Apply this to your own relationships by embodying the kind of support and consistency you want from others, and choose people who do the same in return. Selective availability reveals a lot about where you stand in someone's life. Real connections aren't based on convenience. They're built on mutual respect, consistency, and genuine care. So take a moment to reflect on your relationships. Who shows up for you? Not just in the good times, but when you truly need them. Choose those people. Cultivate relationships where presence and support aren't conditional, and you'll find that the quality of your connections improves, bringing peace, trust, and a sense of belonging into your life. Don't settle for people who are only selectively available. Seek those who are committed to being there, rain or shine. Number 12. Making you feel guilty. When someone makes you feel guilty, they're not just expressing disappointment. They're often engaging in emotional manipulation, a tactic that can quietly eat away at your confidence and autonomy. People who use guilt as a tool are masters at turning situations to their advantage, twisting your natural empathy and desire to help into a sense of obligation. Have you ever found yourself saying yes to someone just to avoid the guilt trip they'd send you on if you refused? They might say things like, "After all I've done for you," or, "If you really cared, you'd do this for me." Statements like these are designed to make you feel selfish or uncaring, shifting the focus away from their unreasonable request and onto your supposed lack of empathy. Marcus Aurelius once observed, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When we're manipulated by guilt, our thoughts are clouded, often leading us to sacrifice our own needs to meet someone else's expectations, all at the expense of our own well-being. In modern life, this form of guilt tripping can be subtle but persistent. Perhaps it's a family member who constantly reminds you of everything they've done for you, pressuring you to meet their endless demands. Or it's a friend who frequently asks for favors, and when you hesitate, they remind you of that one time they helped you, as if that moment now binds you to perpetual obligation. This dynamic is emotionally exhausting and unfair, as it leverages past kindness into a tool for present control. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself why you feel obligated? Why do we allow guilt to dictate our choices when deep down, we know they're unreasonable? Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Guilt manipulators attempt to make us believe we owe them, chaining us to their expectations and holding us emotionally hostage until we comply. But true freedom and genuine relationships cannot flourish under such conditions. Consider the story of a man who consistently gave his time to a friend, always willing to help out whenever needed. However, as time went on, he noticed his friend's requests became increasingly demanding, and each time he tried to say no, he was met with disappointment or subtle guilt-inducing phrases like, "I thought you were the one person I could rely on." This friend's words weren't just expressions of sadness, they were calculated to make him feel as if he was betraying a trust. Slowly, he realized that his friend was more interested in having a convenient source of help than in respecting his time and boundaries. The friendship became a one-way street, where guilt was used to keep him in line. Eventually, he recognized the pattern, set boundaries, and found freedom in distancing himself from someone who saw him only as a means to their own end. Does this story resonate with you? How often have you felt trapped in a cycle of guilt, unable to set boundaries out of fear of letting someone down? The key to breaking free from guilt manipulation lies in recognizing your right to say no without needing to justify or feel guilty about it. If someone genuinely cares for you, they won't make you feel as though you owe them. True friends and family respect your autonomy. They don't see kindness as currency, but as an expression of genuine care. As Seneca wisely put it, associate with people who are likely to improve you. Surrounding yourself with people who encourage your growth, rather than exploit your empathy, is essential for emotional well-being. When you're faced with a guilt trip, ask yourself, is this a fair request or am I being manipulated? By setting firm boundaries and standing by your decisions, you protect yourself from emotional exhaustion and retain control over your choices. People who truly care about you won't need to guilt you into helping them. They'll understand when you have to put yourself first. So, the next time someone tries to make you feel guilty for prioritizing your own needs, remember that genuine relationships are based on mutual respect, not indebtedness. You deserve to have connections that allow you to feel free, respected, and valued, not burdened by a constant sense of obligation. So ask yourself today, are you surrounded by people who respect your boundaries, or are there those who use guilt to keep you tied to their demands? Reclaim your power by recognizing the difference, and surround yourself with those who truly see and value you for who you are, not just for what you can do for them. Thank you for being here with us till now. We've explored the attitudes of people who only use others without truly caring about them, a topic that reveals a lot about the boundaries we need to set to protect our well-being. Have you ever encountered someone like this in your life? What was your experience and how did you handle it? Feel free to share your story in the comments below, and if you're unsure of what to say, simply write, "I value genuine connections," to show you're committed to building meaningful relationships. Your input is invaluable to our community. Let's learn and grow together. Number 13. Lack of personal interest. Have you ever found yourself in a conversation where you're sharing something meaningful, but the other person seems disinterested, barely listening, or even interrupting to shift the focus back to themselves? When someone lacks genuine interest in your life, it's a strong signal that they don't truly value the connection. Let's explore how to recognize when someone doesn't show personal interest, why it matters, and what you can do to surround yourself with people who genuinely care. When a person consistently shows a lack of personal interest in you, it reveals a lot about their view of the relationship. In these situations, it feels as though you're more of a sounding board or an audience member in their life, rather than a friend, partner, or valued person. True connection comes from a balanced exchange where both people are equally invested in learning about each other's thoughts, struggles, and successes. When this balance is missing, you're left with a one-sided relationship where your words and experiences seem to matter less. How many times have you started to share something only for the other person to steer the conversation back to themselves, as if your life were just a side note to theirs? As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." In genuine relationships, listening is a key part of showing respect and empathy, yet people who only care about their own lives neglect this simple but powerful truth. In today's fast-paced, self-focused world, this attitude is increasingly common, but it doesn't make it any less damaging. A person who doesn't show interest in your life reveals that they aren't willing to give you the time or space to express yourself, likely because they're too wrapped up in their own story. This lack of curiosity and attention can leave you feeling insignificant and even questioning your own worth. You might find yourself wondering, am I boring, or is what I'm saying really that unimportant? But the problem isn't with you. It's with their inability to care beyond their own sphere of interest. People who lack interest in others are usually only interested in relationships that serve their needs, those that reinforce their ego or provide validation. They're not there to share in your life's highs and lows, but to keep you around as long as you're useful to them. Consider this. A friend of mine recently had a conversation with someone he thought was close. As he began talking about a recent struggle at work, the person quickly shifted the subject, saying, "Well, you think that's tough? Wait until you hear about my week." My friend felt invisible, his experience brushed aside, as if his struggles were just filler until they could talk about themselves. It was in that moment he realized the relationship was draining, because it was built on a foundation where only one person's life and feelings truly mattered. This realization prompted him to distance himself and seek relationships where his own experiences were valued. Have you ever had similar experiences? Have you ever felt that your stories and thoughts weren't important? People who don't show personal interest are often those who see relationships as extensions of their own ego. They seek to be heard but rarely listen, to be admired but seldom offer encouragement, to take but seldom give. As Seneca wisely said, associate with people who are likely to improve you. In other words, choose to be around those who genuinely care, who are willing to understand your journey as much as their own. Recognizing a lack of interest allows you to step back and protect your energy from one-sided relationships that don't nourish you. So, how can you handle relationships where someone lacks personal interest? The first step is to accept that you deserve relationships where you're seen and valued, not just tolerated or used as an audience. Setting boundaries can be empowering, giving you the freedom to decide how much energy you want to invest in people who don't reciprocate. You can also gently steer the conversation, sharing with them how much it means when they listen or asking questions to see if they're open to deeper connection. But remember, It's not your job to convince someone to care about you. True relationships are built on mutual respect and curiosity. They thrive on a two-way flow of empathy and interest. Marcus Aurelius once advised, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Apply this to your life by embodying the values you seek in others and by choosing relationships that reflect those values. Number 14. Superficial closeness. Superficial closeness can be deceiving because at first it often feels like a true bond. People who maintain these shallow connections may laugh with you, share stories, and give the impression that they're genuinely involved in your life. However, when it comes down to meaningful support or true vulnerability, they pull back, reluctant to invest any real energy or time. Have you ever noticed that they're the first to show up at a celebration but are nowhere to be found during a crisis? They'll happily attend the good times, but when life gets difficult, they're suddenly busy or distant. This kind of relationship might feel satisfying on the surface, but as Epictetus wisely noted, only the educated are free. True freedom in relationships comes from depth, mutual respect, and a shared willingness to support each other through life's ups and downs. Superficial closeness, however, keeps you in a cycle of temporary warmth and consistent disappointment, reminding you that some people value comfort over connection. In modern life, superficial connections are increasingly common, especially with social media, where people can easily present a curated version of friendship without committing to its responsibilities. These are the people who might leave flattering comments on your posts or like your achievements, yet never reach out to genuinely ask how you're doing. They engage only when there's something positive to gain, avoiding any involvement that might demand empathy, effort, or presence. These relationships are like a mirage, beautiful from a distance but disappearing when you look closer. A friend of mine once experienced this when he went through a challenging time. His so-called friends, who were always around for dinners and fun, suddenly became unavailable. Calls and messages went unanswered, and he realized that the bond he thought they shared was just surface level. It was a hard lesson, but it taught him the difference between true closeness and superficial attachment. How many of us have been in this situation, mistaking frequency of contact or shared laughs for genuine connection? People who keep relationships shallow often do so to protect themselves from the vulnerability that true friendship requires. Real connections demand openness, compassion, and a willingness to be there even when it's inconvenient. Superficial closeness, on the other hand, is easy. It requires minimal emotional investment, and it allows people to enjoy the benefits of friendship without any of the work. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Similarly, the quality of your relationships depends on their depth and authenticity. Surrounding yourself with people who only engage on a surface level will leave you feeling empty because these relationships can't provide the support and fulfillment that come from genuine connection. It's crucial to identify and distance yourself from superficial closeness, not out of resentment, but to make room for relationships that truly value you and stand by you through life's highs and lows. So, how can you recognize and respond to superficial closeness in your life? Start by observing patterns. If someone only reaches out when things are going well or when there's something to celebrate but is consistently unavailable when you're struggling, that's a clear red flag. Real friends don't disappear when things get hard. They're there for you, offering encouragement, listening without judgment, and providing comfort in times of need. Seneca once advised, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." In relationships, this means seeking out those who bring depth and positivity into your life, who are genuinely interested in you as a person, not just in sharing good times. Setting boundaries with those who only want to engage on a superficial level can protect your emotional energy, allowing you to invest more deeply in relationships that offer real value. Superficial closeness may feel good in the moment, but it doesn't stand the test of time. Real relationships are built on trust, mutual support, and the willingness to be vulnerable and present. Reflect on the people around you. Who are the ones who lift you up? who are there without needing an invitation, and who are willing to engage with the real you. By choosing to focus on relationships that go beyond the surface, you're building a life surrounded by genuine connections that bring lasting joy, comfort, and strength. So ask yourself, are the people you're investing in offering real closeness, or are they just here for the surface-level benefits? By recognizing the difference, you empower yourself to foster relationships that truly enrich your life. Number 15. Persistent lack of respect. When someone consistently shows a lack of respect, it's more than just a few harsh words or occasional disagreements. It's a clear indication that they don't see you as an equal. Respect is the foundation of all healthy relationships, whether it's friendship, family, or romantic. Without it, even the most charming gestures or kind words feel hollow. A person who lacks respect for you might constantly undermine your ideas, dismiss your feelings, or make you feel small whenever they get the chance. This behavior isn't accidental. It reflects a deeper attitude of disregard. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When faced with disrespect, our reaction can either reinforce their behavior or set boundaries that protect our self-worth. But when someone's disrespect is persistent, it's not about an isolated incident, it's a pattern that reveals their true attitude towards you. In our daily lives, it's easy to overlook small signs of disrespect, especially if it's wrapped in humor or disguised as tough love. They might make jokes at your expense, brush off your concerns, or use sarcasm to diminish your achievements. At first, it might seem harmless, but over time, these behaviors create an environment where you feel hesitant to express yourself or pursue your goals openly. Have you ever found yourself holding back from sharing something important because you fear how they'll react? Or maybe you feel like you're constantly defending yourself, trying to prove your worth or justify your actions. A person who truly values you will never make you feel inferior or inadequate. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And when surrounded by persistent disrespect, it's challenging to maintain positive, confident thoughts about yourself. Constant disrespect not only affects your mood, but also chips away at your self-confidence and overall sense of peace. Consider the story of a man who worked hard to achieve his dreams, only to have a friend who constantly belittled his efforts. Whenever he shared an accomplishment, this friend would shrug it off, making comments like, "Anyone could do that," or "Don't let it get to your head." At first, he brushed it off as his friend's way of keeping him grounded. But over time, he realized that these remarks were designed not to help him grow, but to keep him feeling small. Eventually, he recognized that this friend wasn't invested in his success or happiness, but instead felt threatened by it. Does this sound familiar? Have you ever had someone who made you doubt your achievements or question your worth? Respect in relationships isn't about flattery. It's about giving space for the other person to be their full self, without fear of judgment or criticism. People who lack respect for others are often dealing with their own insecurities. By putting others down, they try to feel a sense of superiority. But this isn't your burden to bear. As Seneca advised, associate with people who are likely to improve you. Seek relationships with people who lift you up, who value your perspective, and who want to see you succeed without needing to diminish your worth. Surrounding yourself with those who respect you for who you are is crucial for your mental and emotional health. Setting boundaries with those who persistently disrespect you is an act of self-respect, a way of saying, "I deserve to be treated with kindness and dignity." The message is simple, yet powerful. Respect is non-negotiable. True connections are built on a foundation of mutual admiration, where each person feels valued, heard, and uplifted. Ask yourself today, are the people in your life showing you the respect you deserve, or do they bring you down with constant belittling remarks and dismissive attitudes? The answer to this question can guide you toward healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Prioritize those who treat you with respect, and don't be afraid to let go of those who don't. Life is too short to invest in relationships that make you feel less than you are. By choosing respect, You're choosing a life filled with peace, confidence, and genuine support. As we wrap up, I encourage you to take these insights into your daily life and reflect on the relationships around you. Are the people in your life lifting you up, or are they using your kindness for their own benefit? Applying these principles can help you set boundaries, prioritize genuine connections, and nurture relationships that bring real joy and growth. Remember, as we discussed here on Stoic in Your Life, genuine friendship is rooted in mutual respect and authenticity. Anything less doesn't deserve a place in your life. Share your thoughts in the comments. Have you recognized any of these attitudes in people around you? How have you handled it? Your experiences could inspire others in our community. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content that empowers you to build a life filled with true, meaningful relationships.